LinkedIn are talking about it, it means they're going to be pushing it harder, trying to adopt people to use it. The thing is, guys, only 1% of LinkedIn members are posting content. Only 1%. That's so low. The opportunity is huge. And still, organic is like 66% of the feed. Like you notice, it's organic, like a free. When I say organic, I mean free. They're not paying for an ad. So it's a free post, and then an ad normally. So 2 out of 3 posts that you're seeing in the feed are free. And only 1% of LinkedIn users are taking advantage. But video is the #1 B2B content format globally right now. It's not theory. This is the market speaking. All the marketers in B2B are leaning heavily into video content. So I've got a 5-part video framework that I created for LinkedIn Video Secrets, my online course, which you can check out at bibby.consulting/secrets. I create frameworks, right, so that it's easy to action. So here's my Bibby 5-part video framework. So when you're creating a video, you need a hook. You've heard people talk about this. You've got 3 seconds, really. You know how they used to say, if you're old enough to be around for when they used to say, the first 7 seconds when you meet somebody is so important to set a first impression. That doesn't happen in person anymore. It happens online. And most of the time it happens on LinkedIn. You've got 3 seconds. If you don't stop the scroll, nothing else matters. If you don't capture people's attention, nothing else matters. There's 2 things that we need here. For social media to work, 2 things you need for business to work. Attention and trust. You need attention and trust, right? So I'm talking about attention here. Like, how do you capture their attention? You've actually got multiple hooks. You've got a hook in the first 3 seconds of your video. You've got a hook in the first 2 sentences of your caption, the wording that goes with your video. And if you create a thumbnail, you can put a hook in your thumbnail as well. In your hook, in your video, if you don't stop the scroll, nothing else matters. So don't waste time introducing yourself. Start with a bang. What did I start with in this video? I would believe it was a question. I think I said, have you ever noticed that you posted and nothing happens, right? So I'm immediately bringing you in and bringing you into the hook, and you kind of want to let people know what to expect, what the video is going to be about. And then 2, I would actually suggest going into story. So share a moment or a breakdown, a struggle, an epiphany, something authentic, because it's an emotional trigger. Vulnerability creates connection, and it builds incredible amounts of trust. I always start my keynotes with a vulnerable story because it immediately brings my audience in to go along the journey with me, and they kind of trust me. I'm going to go into how you can actually do this for your business shortly. Number 3 is value. Value. Give them a clear takeaway that they can implement pretty easily, like pretty fast, so they can get a win. Because if somebody gets a win, they're going to think, oh, wow, the free content got me a win. Imagine what the paid stuff's going to be like. So not generic advice, but something they can implement. And then number 4, proof, show how it works. So you want case studies, screenshots, all that sort of stuff. You're not going to always have this for every video, but it does help. Third-party endorsements make a big difference. And then 5th, call to action. So tell them what to do next. If you just do this minor thing, it'll increase the engagement on your videos by 3 times. All it is telling them to drop a comment, or book a call, or message you, or view the profile. All of those actions are engagement actions. Even DMs, people don't realize this, but DMs on LinkedIn are an engagement action. Like if you get 10 comments and 10 DMs from a post, that's the equivalent of 20 comments, more or less. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but it's twice as much engagement. LinkedIn will look at the DMs and they treat that as an engagement metric. Isn't that cool? If I'm messaging you, and you're messaging me privately in the inbox, that actually tells LinkedIn that you might be interested in my content and I might be interested in your content. That's a hack that nobody knows, right? Because what a powerful way. If you want someone to view your content, you could literally just private message them. And they private message you back. Before you know it, you're having a conversation, bang, LinkedIn shows your content to them in the newsfeed. You're not pushing content on them. You're not sending it to them, but they're going to see it in the newsfeed, and they'll probably be curious because you guys are having a conversation. So the more interactions you have with people, DMs, content, commenting on their stuff, the better, okay? So there's 2 things that will turn all of what I just said into sales: consistency and confidence. I want to focus on the second one because I think that's where most people are struggling, right? Consistency, obviously, 2 or 3 times a week is ideal, okay? I know that's easier said than done, but what you want to do is batch create content. But let's talk about confidence, because I think that's where most of you are getting stuck, right? We're going to get to your questions shortly. So when we're dealing with confidence on video, people say, oh, just start recording. That is not enough. Remember the first time you record a video, it's going to feel awkward, right? We're not used to it. We're not used to having a camera in our face. It doesn't mean you're failing. It just means that you're learning. You're trying something new. If it was easy, everyone would do it, okay? So the key is like confidence. It doesn't come before you start recording. It comes as a result of recording. I spent a year planning and prepping my YouTube channel before I finally hit record, and I still felt gut-wrenching nerves, but each video made the next easier. Now, if I started, instead of preparing for a year, I would have got there a lot quicker. So the mistake most people make is they quit at the first sign of discomfort. They take that awkward feeling as a signal to stop. Oh, I'm just not good on video. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want my company, I don't want to be the face of the company. Really, they're just afraid of what other people think, right? They're just afraid of what other people think. That's the truth. And it is normal. We all are. It's something you've got to work on. Competence builds confidence, right? And anyone that puts you down for being on front of camera is literally just dealing with their own insecurities about doing it, okay? It's your brain adjusting to something new. You have to give yourself permission to be a beginner. It's okay to not be good. Hey, look, if it's not that good, no one's going to watch it because it won't get engagement. So don't worry about it. You just want to do the reps, practice, okay? I've seen this with guys that have come to my seminars like 4 or 5 years ago, and I check out their LinkedIn profile and their Instagram page, and I'm like, damn, your videos got good. And a guy, Neil Gibb from HMO Property Co. in Perth, I said that to him recently, and he said, "Oh, he asked a really good question. He said, what's the biggest thing that you think has changed?" And I said, "Your confidence." And he's like, "Yeah, man." And he goes, "That just comes from practice, right?" So give yourself permission to be a beginner, to not be confident in front of the camera, to feel awkward and imperfect, because that's the place that most of your competitors quit. Okay, don't overthink it. Perfection is the biggest enemy, right? It's procrastination. It builds barriers between you and your audience, making you less relatable. Perfection, okay? So how do you be more confident on camera? Shift your perspective. This is what I do when I do my live talks, right? I focus on helping the audience rather than how I look and self-perfection. So you practice regularly as well to become comfortable. Obviously, you need to know your material, and that comes from practice, and be authentic, which will build trust. And you want to project confidence by turning up your energy, speaking clearly, and making the camera your friend, right? Looking straight down the lens by focusing on a single specific viewer. So when you're speaking to the camera, you don't want to act like you're speaking to 100 people, okay? Because that's what causes you to be nervous, right? You want to act like you're speaking to one person, and then you'll actually, because people aren't watching it in an auditorium. Generally, people are watching on their own. So you speak to somebody like they're on their own, right? And start with small, achievable steps, like celebrate your progress, and then you'll maintain motivation. And I think this applies to anything, not just video. But if you let your genuine personality come through, that's what will create trust and connection with your audience. So shift your attention away from yourself, how do I look or how I sound, and focus on the people that you're creating the video for. And think about how their lives will change when they receive your helpful insights. Your audience doesn't want a polished, perfect version of you. They don't. They want the real you, and your confidence will grow naturally as a byproduct, okay?